Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky 194, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come by and visit and check out my video. And I sure have missed a lot of the videos and talking with everybody and uh, driving an ACC. Um, of course, I'm still uh, pretty much I keep feeling a little bit teeny bit better every day. So I'm getting there. I'm getting close. But of course, my wife earlier this week, if you didn't see the post, she slipped on some ice in my driveway and fractured um, her pelvis in two different places. So now she's down and out, and of course now she's not working. She'll be out probably a month. So anyway, I'm trying to doing videos in between, taking care of her, doing things. Of course, she's first priority, but taking care of her, and then doing stuff in between. So just kind of trying to find the in between times where I can do some stuff and have a little bit of fun. Um, and of course, I always have my phone with me so she can text me if there's something I have to go help her with right away. But anyway, we're going to come back here and do a setup here for the AMG EVO. Now I have a rain setup and a dry setup, and they're both, I think, very solid. I'm going to show some highlights, like it says in the description or in the title. I did a USCP race and I stunk. Just made every kind of error there was in the beginning of the race. Just shows how rusty I was. But I drove better as the race went along and started to find my pace. And it was just an okay race. I mean, I needed the practice. I haven't driven in the rain in so long. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, I haven't raced that much recently anyway, and rain even longer. So, but I had a dry setup, before I went in there. So the setup for the dry was good. And then after the race, I did some more work on it. So this isn't the first time. This is just kind of the final test, I guess, a few laps that I wanted to double check it. But we're just going to go over a lap here with the dry setup, and then we'll go over the setups individually, and then I'll go back and show the just a few highlights of the rain race if anybody wants to see that. So here we go with the AMG EVO. Now, of course, I started with 80 liters, so it's still got 72 in it right now. But it's very. A lot of my setups are a little bit maybe on the conservative side, but I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for drivability. I mean, look at it. It just goes. It's very solid on the brakes. Coming down through here, I go down to second. You can go over a little bit of the bumps. I mean, nothing, I don't try to go too hard onto them. Coming down into here, you can go down in there pretty deep on the brakes, go all the way down into first, and wait just a second. Pause before you go into first so you don't overtax the rear tires. The car is it's solid as a rock. I mean, I went off a little bit there, my mistake, so that cost me a teeny bit, but still. And here you want to do a late apex. You don't want to turn in early. You want to do late so you can get a good drive and get a good little run down that straightaway. Unless, of course, you're trying to be defensive, obviously. I mean, after we made a couple teeny little errors, but the car still ran really good, even with that much fuel on it. There you go. And that was a 129.58. So nothing, it was a decent lap for that much fuel. Again, it should be able to run really low 29s, maybe even 28s if the weather was even better. So on a hot lap. So again, I think it's solid the way it is. So let's go over the setups. Now the rain setup, I did some adjustments with it because it was a rain race, like I said, with the USCP server, and I think it was a very solid setup. I mean, I was running decent, really good times. It was, I was able to, not go through the field. I'm not going to say that, but I mean, I could, pretty much, catch a lot of the guys and be able to, you know, pass if I needed to pass, even though I wasn't really pushing the pass because I was a lap down. So, but I mean, I could have if I wanted to. I mean, it was there. So again, it was just a solid setup that wasn't very controllable and very neutral, I should say. So again, I think it's very good. So let's go over the dry setup first. I got, oh, this is the wet setup. Sorry about that. I still had the wet setup in there because I was making the setup. So let's go to the dry. So here's the dry setup. We got 24.9 left front, 25.6 left rear, 26.4 right front, and 26.2 right rear. The toes a negative 0.1 on the front, with the camber at negative 3.6 on the left and negative 3.5 on the right. The caster's 10.1. The toe on the rear is 0.04, and the camber is negative 3.2 on the left rear and negative 3.1 on the right rear. Again, very good tire wear, so that's another thing I was really looking for. And it's got very good tire wear, and I'll show you that here in a second. Really here, if you want to run a teeny bit more negative camber, it's okay if you want to. But I was happy with this. I run just as much as I have to run, especially here where you got the chicanes, where the car needs to react it needs to react quickly and precisely to go into those chicanes, without hitting them bad or hitting them too hard and things like that. You get a lot of negative toe. Sometimes it seems like that you got to turn fast or turn in earlier to get the car to actually turn because of the negative toe. So I only run as much negative toe as I have to. So electronics, I got 4 and 4. Fuel, of course, I had 80 liters. And you can see the tire wear here after like 4 or 5 laps, which wasn't that bad. I mean, they're really even. 290 there, 291, 294, 293. So no graining. So everything looks really good for the 4 or 5 laps, and they were as good on the other stints that I was testing it out also. So I'm really happy with that. Very close wear. Mechanical, got 6 on the anti-roll bar, 55 on the brake bias, and you can go down to 54 later. That's not a problem. Steering ratio is turned all the way down. Springs are 143,000 on the front with a 700 bump stop rate on the front and a 6 bump stop range. On the rear, the springs are 107,000 with a 500 bump stop rate and a 24 bump stop range. The anti-roll bar at 4 and the preload on the diff at 60. Again, I try to run a little bit softer bump stop rates here since you're going over some of these chicanes and bumps and sausages and things like that. Try to help the stability going over it. At least that's the idea. The preload, I would not run anything less than that. It seems to want to spin the tire a teeny bit in certain places. Maybe in a qualifying you could go down to 50, but I would probably leave it at that because for a race, as it just, the AMG just doesn't seem wants to dig coming off the corners at anything less after so many laps. Shocks on the front are 4373, and on the rear they're 3162. And of course they're close. I mean, there's a few, you can always make adjustments, but I think they're close. And of course I use always, as I do on all these later setups, I always use Motec to dial that in. Aero got 50 on the front, 76 in the rear with a 6 splitter, an 8 rear wing, and a 4 and a 3 in the brake ducts. And the front aero variation is a negative 0.1. Now, as far as this goes, the front stays the same. As the fuel comes off, the front stays the same. So you're not going to, the front height is going to not move. But this comes up about 3. So this is going to come up 79 as you go. So again, that's something you got to keep in mind as you go from 80 liters down to the last few liters. It's going to start coming up in the back, which is not a big deal, but that's something you want to keep in mind. And but other than that, I think it's very stable. You can go up one more if you think you need a little bit more rotation. So if you don't think it rotates enough, the only thing I would do is raise this one to 77, and that would give you just a little bit more rotation. and probably leave everything else the same. If you think it rotates too much, then I would basically raise the front one, and that would, again, that would cut it down some. So again, that's just my suggestions. That way, the balance still is, really close to what I have here. Now let's go over the wet setup, and I got that as a setup too. So the wet setup, I got 27.5 left front, 27.7 left rear, 28 right front and right rear. Now, of course, this was going off of the temperatures that I had. Again, usually when it's wet, I'm sure everybody sees, usually it's, in the teens. It was like 16 Celsius or something like that. So usually it's always something like that. The toe in the front is negative 0.1 with the camber at negative 3.2 and the caster at 9.5. Toe on the rear is 0.1 with the camber at negative 2.8. And again, I don't run as much negative camber because you're not going as fast. You need rubber on the ground for braking and turning. You're not going near as fast as you are in the dry. So again, there's no sense of running the more negative camber. So that's the reason behind that. Electronics are 7, 9, and 2. And again, that's pretty close. Traction control, I could go down maybe 1 after the tires get warmed up, down to 6. I mean, you can go down 1, but usually it's around 6 or 7 during the race. Fuel, of course, I had 70 liters for a 45-minute race. Number 3 brake pads. Mechanical, got 4 on the anti-roll bar, 54 on the brake bias, and you can go down to 53. The 54 is just to start off with. It's really just a beginning. So if you want to start off at 53, that's fine. Just keep in mind, that the back tire, until they get up to, you get some temperature in the tires, you might want to be careful. But actually, I like it better at 53. I just start off at 54 because it did be a little bit on the safe side in the start and things like that. Steering all the way down. Springs are all the way down at 130,000 with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 15. On the rear, the springs are 107,000 with a bump stop rate of 500 and a bump stop range of 30. And again, that's just to give you some more clearance as far as the bump stops and grip. Anti-roll bar is 4 in the rear with a preload at 60. That's pretty much the same. I think the anti-roll bar on the front's less. And again, that's to help it turn, to help it get the front end to move a little bit, to help it turn in some of the slower corners and things like that, since you don't have the grip that you have in the dry. I think this is about the same. Shocks are 4.2, 4.2. And on the rear, they're 3.1, 4.2. So it's pretty close. It should be 3. So that should be the same. Arrow, I have 52 in the front, 78 in the rear with a 10 rear wing, a 4 splitter, and a 3 and a 3, and the brake ducts and the front arrow variation is a negative 1.9. So again, you should be able, the ride height should be good. Now if it's flooded, okay, not just wet, if it's flooded, you might want to go up 1 more in the front, and that'll give you some more negative on the front arrow variation, and so that will probably help you a little bit. So I would probably just raise it 1 more if it was a flooded track. But other than that, everything should be pretty good. Of course, your brake ducts and things like that always have to be adjusted according to your temperatures. Again, this was I think it was like 16 Celsius or something. So that, just keep that in mind for this setup, because usually in the rain in ACC, it's usually always 15 to 18 or 15 to 20 Celsius in that range. At least every time I've seen it, most of the time. So now let's go ahead and we'll jump to the highlights. And of course, man, I will put both of these setups will be in the description. So they'll both be in the description. And of course, I have a PayPal link in the description also. If anybody wants to help support the channel that way, I really appreciate it. And of course, I appreciate, a like and a subscribe. All those things are support, and I would really appreciate all those trying to grow the channel. I really would thank everybody that has stayed with me, and like I said, all the comments and good well wishes and things like that. I appreciate it. So again, let's go ahead and we'll jump to show a few highlights. Okay, we're back, and of course I missed the start. I mean, that's Miguel right behind me. I missed the couldn't get my stuff done in time, so I totally screwed that up. That's just the beginning. I qualified 5th. Miguel was on the pole, so then I got a drive-through because I thought I had the button on and I didn't, my pit limiter. So now I got a drive-through. So it's just, I mean, this is one thing, and then I get into here, up through here, and the car, of course, understeers real bad because it's just starting out, and I hit the Nissan, knock him out, and I hit the wall right there. Bam. Right on the edge of the wall, and it caused all kinds of damage. So you can see the start of this race was extremely bad. It really doesn't get much worse. All on me. So I said sorry to the Nissan after the race. Apologized to him for my dumbness. Again, it was just not thinking. Pretty much not running that good there. And of course, you know, not having the brake bias turned all the way up, it made it even worse as far as understeering. It understeered like crazy. So that's another reason why I made a couple small little adjustments, but I mean, mainly the main thing is the brake bias really helps with the getting the car to rotate in the back, especially in the rain, and you can dial it in depending upon the track conditions, so it actually makes a pretty big difference. So anyway, of course, then I'm going to have to come in and service my 30-second stop and go. So that's next. So we'll move on. Let's see where we're at. Of course, I'm dead last. I'm behind these guys here. And really what I'm trying to do is just survive until my pit stop, because then I want to come in and fix. Right now the car is horrible. It's even understeering worse than it was, you know, than normal. I should say than it was, but than normal, because of all the damage on the car. So it's awful. So I'm just trying to hang on and waiting for a pit stop, because there was a pit stop in the race. So what I wanted to do is come and get tires and then fix the damage. There was like 20 seconds of damage right now. So I had a lot of damage. And basically, you know, I didn't want to mess up anybody's race, so I tried to stay out of the way to the best of my ability. You know, just stay, you know, not totally mess me up, but not total. I don't want to mess anybody else up. So, you know, if somebody come up next to me or come up behind me, I'll just let them through. Obviously, because I'm a lap down and things like that. So. But I wanted to get practice. I needed to practice to knock some of the rust off, and so to speak, and also wanted to see what the car was going to do in the rain. Of course, I'm just waiting till the pits open, because right now I'm not really learning anything because the car is damaged so bad. So we're going to skip ahead a couple laps. So those guys pulled ahead of me. And again, I'm just trying to stay on the track. Miguel got through on me. That's Miguel right there. And he had he started from the pits, but he had a great race. But again, he did a great job getting through traffic too. I mean, and I should have showed that here, but I mean, he knows how to pass correctly. I mean, he was behind me, and he saw, he basically got up behind me, and then we got into a corner, and he got alongside of me, and of course that's exactly perfect, just to go around me. And obviously, I'm just going to let him go by because I'm not fighting for a position. I'm a lap down. So instead of just sitting back there, so I know what he's going to do, he come up alongside, and I know he's going to, just go ahead and go around. So it actually, again, it's really good racing by Miguel. So let's move on to a couple laps again. And I'm still, again, last. And let's see, it's coming into the pits. So again, we're coming into the pits. And I actually caught up to this guy. He's 19th, the Audi. Caught up to him, so I caught up to the back of the field. Now you see my best is a 139. It was a 139.0, okay, which I knew it would run better than that. But, you know, with all the damage it was costing me, it was messing me up. So let's go ahead and skip forward a couple laps. Now I'm behind the GTR again. I guess his name's Warren, which I apologize to him after the race. But I didn't want to hit him again, mess him up again. So I was behind him, and I just stayed behind him because I didn't want to mess him up, and I definitely didn't want to hit him again. That would be a disaster. Get all the spray and everything. Again, you know, sorry for the little bit longer video, but I mean, I figured to show some of the highlights with this one instead of showing this whole race. I love the AMG, the sound. I love it. I never get tired of listening to AMG. I was definitely faster, but, you know, I didn't want to mess him up, so I was just pretty much just riding behind him. See, now, that's another reason I went to in-car, so now, since the car's got no damage, I fixed the damage. I want, you know, you can tell how it's handling and things like that. There's a 138 right there. And I mean, he was braking really early into there, so a couple times I had to be really careful because I almost ran into him, so I had to be really careful. I'm braking, you know, a lot of times I'm braking early and doing things because I don't want to mess him up, so I'm just trying to sit there. I wasn't trying to pass him there, I just want to be able to see. Behind him, you can't see nothing. I moved up to 17th, dead last. Kind of messed up there, which at the time I really didn't care because it got him to go, you know, keep holding a little bit of a gap, so that was all right. Deep there. Just having a lot of problems going in deep in places. Just going in just a teeny bit too deep instead of letting the car roll through the corner. You know, since you don't have the grip and the wet. Coming back up. Corsa let us by. I don't mind the AMG in the rain. I've had a lot of rain races with it, or like semi-wet or wet-dry, whatever you want to call it. And I've always seemed to do halfway decent in the rain. I mean, I didn't finish the greatest here, but that's just because it was my fault. The car itself was fine. That's why I'll leave the setup, again, both setups in the description. I think it's a very good package. Very driver-friendly package on both setups. I'll move on. I don't remember what lap it was. Let's see, is it here? I was waiting to see. Yeah, it's right here. See, he lost it. He went over that too hard and got loose. I don't know if he wrecked or not, but so I just went around. So let's move up a couple laps. And I already got around the BMW that was up there. He did the same. He lost it just in the same spot or something. I don't remember what happened, but he went off the track somewhere too or something. So I caught up to him. So I went too deep into there. Move up a couple. Up to 16th now. So let's see what my fastest lap is now in the rain. .136.54. So see, that's another. I know I'm getting less fuel also, but still compared to the 139, I mean, I knew that I knew that was leaving a lot on the table with 20 seconds damage. So, big difference. And there goes let's back up a little bit. I caught up to the McLaren here. He's running 12th. So again, I was able to, move up, even if it wasn't for position, to catch the guy in front of me. Again, I don't want to push nothing. I'm not racing for position, so I just, I'll stay behind him. Unless there's a wide open door or something. And of course, I pitted as soon as I could, so it's not like I waited to the near. I wanted to get my car fixed, so tires got a little bit more laps on them than some of these other guys. And see, he went off. The car was understeering. You can see he pretty much went off in the grass. So something like that. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and go. So I'm up to 15th now. Miguel's all the way up to 6th. He's moved way up. See all the BMWs up there. So let's go to the last lap. Coming up here. Just one more lap. That'll be it. So it's 136.23 now, I think, was the fast lap. So again, it was staying consistent. it was staying, you know, really good laps every single lap, even with the tires wearing. And that's 136.63. So again, that's only 4/10 off my fast. This corner here, you trail brake a little bit to get the back end, you know, to help you rotate. Race ended. Miguel's, I think, got up to 4th or something. I think, or something really good. It's really good. I'm up to looks like 14th. I got up to, which is okay for having a stop. You know, all the wreck and damage. At least I, you know, moved up a little bit. But I was really happy with the car. That's the reason I stayed in it, is just to get some practice and also to see how it performs. You know, kind of like a pretty much a live test session, so to speak. So again, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the setups, that was a 136.93, and that was the last lap. So again, I sure hope you give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and any comments or feedback is always appreciated. I love talking to all my friends, and I hope you come back and visit again really soon. Y'all take care. See ya.